Hello and welcome. India's biggest opportunity, as also its biggest challenge, is its youth. And on account of the pandemic, especially amongst those who are very young, we've seen learning outcomes being badly impacted. What does India need to do over the next 25 years to be able to realize the potential of its youthful population? To discuss this and more at the Business Today India at 100 Economy Summit, I'm delighted to welcome the Minister for Human Resource Development, one of the most important portfolios in any government, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Rahulji.
I want to start with the here and the now. On account of the pandemic, many school going children have been impacted and pushed back in their formative years on very critical learning outcomes. All the data seems to be suggesting that. As Minister for Education, what are you doing here and now to ensure that you can catch up on these lost years so that we lay a foundation for the next 25 years?
Rahulji, this is a very pertinent question we are facing in the present time. Due to COVID, due to pandemic, almost all 2 academic sessions, there is a severe learning loss. School were closed, the online facility were not in all part of country. This is a reality. We have to accept that. Education being a concurrent subject, respective state governments and union government, both are facing very severe kind of challenge in this area. Main challenge how to, already this year the class has been started, it is on the normal coursework, but the last 2 years, in all the classes there is a learning loss. 2-3 innovative model I could mention in front of you. Reducing the syllabus, creating a new pedagogy, creating some extra classes, adding some extra classes, and altogether new approach to this learning loss area. State like Karnataka, state like UP, state like Assam, and board like CBSE. They are bound to do some reform in compulsion, like they could not organize examination in last 2 years, the board examination. This is a loss. How do we recover that? I cannot, very candidly, I cannot say this much time will be needed, because in the early stage, those who joined in the class 1, they directly go to regular class in class 3. They lost the experience of school 2 years. So this is a unique challenge, but the way post-pandemic, when the class started, since last few months we are observing their performance. I think with some specific innovative strategy by all the states, every state have developed their own way of recovery on their area. I think we have to put best of our effort. I hope some improvement will be there.
But one of the challenges seems to be the inability of the system to execute a flawless examination experience. We saw recently during the CUET exams a lot of initial hiccups, now which in a large scheme can be explained as just being teething trouble. But जो बच्चा है जिसकी पढ़ाई चल रही, जो गया एग्जाम देने के लिए, and when he discovers that the exam is not happening or that he has to give it again, there is immense mental trauma for that
No,
student.
I agree. I cannot sigh out from the problem. I have to take responsibility. I am responsible. I am candidly agreeing in front of you. Nowadays, there are 3 major examinations for the higher secondary students. They are NEET, they are JEE, JEE Mains, and from this year, for the central university, they are CUET. From the other 2 examinations, CUET little bit unique. In the engineering and medical courses, you have to appear in the examination in mathematics, in physics, chemistry, botany and zoology. But here in Central University entrance test, you have to appear according to your own choice. There are 100 courses and multiple languages. For that, In the initial time, initial 2-3 days, we faced some challenges, but now it is on the track. And in future, I don't see any problem, because looking into size of our country, more competitive, more new innovative models has to be there, and examinations are always evolutionary outcomes, and government of India and respective state governments are jointly on the job. This year there are some problem. I am taking responsibility, and I don't have any compensatory reward those who have lost. But we have tried to minimize the damage. We are very flexible. 2 days back, in a mathematics paper, unfortunately, in some centers, paper was blank. We have to reorganize the examination again. We have to accept our responsibility, and we have to reorganize that. We are doing that.
But do you take action against officials who are found
Whom?
guilty and
Please,
responsible
please.
for such systemic lapses?
Rahul, please appreciate one thing. If one of your editorial is not appreciated by consumer, are you sacking that reporter from your desk? Please be human. More than 2 million students are appearing in examination in few centers in a paper. If some mishap is there, yes, I have to pinpoint the responsibility. But if you ask me, I have to candid, please be human.
In the United States, to enter a college, you have to go through the GRE exam. In some senses, the Central University entrance test is along similar lines. But in the way that our education system has been primed so far, the focus was on boards. Are you consciously trying to diminish the significance of the board examination system, or is it just an inevitable follow?
Rahulji, I am not an academician. I am a public policy practitioner. And you are a respectable editor of our one of the prestigious magazine of country. This is a debate going on between two sets of academicians, whether the importance of board will remain, whether it will be more objective. This debate is going on since decades. How big will be the course, how burdenous will be the course, how it will be objective, how it will be explanatory, all such things are there. Successfully, there are two sets of examination on the objective basis. This is NEET and JEE. In similar spirit, and there are challenges because there is I belong to Odisha. I study in a vernacular language. So I always little bit hesitant to communicate, to write in English language or in Hindi. I am comfortable in Odia. So I know this challenge. But now, in the era of technology, in the 21st century, to create a robust mechanism is not a challenge. So gradually, as I said, education is an evolutionary process. Our youngsters are very competent to create innovative method also. And I am confident the way today NEET and JEE are settled, CUET will be settled with a much responsibility, how it will be provincial board centric, how it will be more language centric, how the local aspiration will be in the question papers. These are the challenges. In NEP, we have, that is the primary reason we have give emphasis to local language, to mother tongue. It has to be seamless.
So the academics may be divided in their opinions, but as the man crafting our education policy, where do you stand on this debate? And I'll tell you why I ask. I have young children. As we talk about education in the next 25 years, I wonder to myself, why should they have to take double the stress and give twice the exams as compared to a student elsewhere? If we are going to build out the CUET examination model, which you're saying you want to, then very naturally we should say we want to reduce over time the significance of the CBSE model, because there is no requirement to take 2 exams and double the stress for our children. It's as clear as that. And you, as the policy practitioner, must tell us what your vision is in a medium to long term.
Recently, one of the authority of this area, the chairman of UGC, coined an idea. Why can't we have a single entrance examination? Single entrance examination for JEE, for medical, for engineering, for medical, and for other central universities. These are the primary expert domain of educationists, and I am open to this idea. Today, today we are in the end of the August, by September, all kind of entrance will be over. We'll formulate a expert group to look into this very challenge you mentioned. How the primary motto should be: the students should be confident, students should be less burdened, students should be, examination should be joyful. Just see Prime Minister Modi since last few years, every year he coming to students with this approach: don't fear examination, defeat examination. Examination is a, when I am coming to your interview, this is examination for me. Millions of people are looking, observing this interview, and if the great examiner Rahul Kanwal is grilling me, so I have to, I am little, this is a psychological issue. This is a sentiment. We have to change our basic approach. Academics, course curriculum, and examination. These are should be very natural thing. In that way, critical thinking will come up. When the critical thinking output will be critical thinking, the girl or boy will deliver its best.
So one of the realities, and I'm sure most people sitting here at this Business Today India at 100 Economy Summit might feel this way, is that India's educational system has simply not scaled to be able to serve the requirements of its young population. And now, amongst those who can afford it, the first effort the children and the parents make is to find a university or college that they can go to abroad. In some cases, the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, but literally anywhere, because the good universities and colleges that we have such atrociously high cutoffs that it's very difficult, except for just a few, to get in. And then you have a proliferation of not so good educational institutes that charge a lot of fees but don't deliver good service. And students typically think that they'll get better education abroad. This is the current reality. What's your vision over the next 2.5 decades, by the time India turns 100, to be able to address that? And do you think it's just going to be like this and there's very little we can do, or do you think it can be changed?
I totally agree with you. Let me interview you. In which college or which school you have studied?
I studied at the Army Public School here. My
In
father was
India?
in the Army.
In India?
So I studied in 12 schools
Not
across the
India.
country.
You
Yes.
have not studied in American school. You have studied in India. So I am confident my good friend Rahul Kanwal is a global standard editor, come out of this Indian education system. So don't be very apologetic, very defensive. Our education system is inadequate. But simultaneously, I have to accept your argument. We have to cope up with the time. We have to face the global requirement. Today, we have to create global citizens. And India's philosophical responsibility, eternal responsibility is about the entire world. In our DNA, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is our philosophy. We have to take responsibility of ourselves. We have to take responsibility of our entire global community. First precondition is, how are you creating innovative thinkers in your younger generation? This is the education is the answer. Just see, when Britishers were ruling us few centuries ago, Macaulay developed a model. The primary motto of that model was to rule India forever, for a longer period, to extract economic interest in a bigger way. They created an education system. After independence, we changed our approach. Lot of things has been changed. There is a national education policy envisioned by this government, by Prime Minister Modi, implemented from 2020. What is the basic philosophy of this concept, this policy? We have to decolonize our education system. Education is the basic philosophy of a society. We have to be rooted, we have to be modern, we have to be forward-looking, we have to be scientific. How do you do that? Today, the kind of path we have pursued, though we produce lot of global standard experts in all the fields, in the science, in the technology, in the economic front, in the social sector, in the literature, we produce global quality manpower. But is it adequate? I have to accept in this at the occasion of 75th year of independence. It's not adequate. That's where now when we're entering into the Amrit Kal, our target is 2047, 100 years of independence. How do we prepare ourselves? Education is the primary area. Rahulji, recently I'm coming from Australia. I'm quoting my good friend, Australian Education Minister's view. He said, Mr. Pradhan, what is Australia today? It was not 50 years ago. Today it is a developed economy. It's one of the primary strategies we give emphasis on education. Australia is a small country. It's a country of 25 million population. Do you know how much young population we have? If I quantify the age 15 to 25, our number is 250 million.
Sure.
120 million people are coming to institution. 140 million, 130 million people are not coming to institution. We have an ambition to become $5 trillion economy. We have an ambition to produce more global citizens. We have to appropriate our education system. We have to appropriate our skilling ecosystem, vocational education. This aspirational society has to cope up with the need of the global expectation. And this national education policy has envisioned all such things, solid rootedness with a futuristic ambition.
So you asked me where I studied. So after studying in India, I went on a fellowship to the United Kingdom, and just this year I graduated from Harvard Business School, and I saw the difference.
Congratulations.
Oh, sir, thank you so much. The difference between the quality of education being imparted in a classroom abroad versus the quality of education being imparted here, there is a stark difference. According to the QS World University rankings of just this year, India doesn't have a single institute in the top 150. China has multiple. Our first institute is the Institute of Science in Bengaluru, which comes in at 155. My question is, what is your plan to create the quality of educational institutes that we have in the US, Europe, and elsewhere in India, and actually move towards getting there?
Rahulji, our challenge is twofold. It's a multifold, but I am specific to two areas. Quantity and quality. Both the thing. We have to expand our base quantitatively. As I said, 130 million students are on marketplace without any formal institutional education system, without any formal skilling system. They are into the market. They are doing something. If they will be skilled, they will be capacitated, they will be knowledge imparted, their productivity will increase. So our challenge is quantity. So quality. We cannot compromise on quality. Don't be little bit defensive. I am very proud of my institutions. Sundar Pesai studied in some IIT. Satya Nadella is an Indian student. Indira Nooyi is an Indian student. So don't be unbiased. I said, I will again repeat. The cost of dividend. Rahul Kanwal is a global editor. So please appreciate our system. Yes, you see one thing, you see the glass is half empty. I see the glass is half full. I accept this challenge. We have to have innovative models. We have to be that for challenge of our education is affordability. Challenge of our education is accessibility. Challenge of our education is quality. Challenge of our education is inclusivity. These are the challenges. We have to, with our limited challenge, this country has to approach multi-pronged strategy. A section of society is now in a position to afford their kids' education in a marketplace. A section of society is still depending on state. Majority of the citizens are depending on state. We have to, through using technology, this year Prime Minister Modi has announced there will be 200 satellite channel for all the languages, for all the states, for our school and college children. There are 34 channels. Now they will be expanded up to 60. That means by 2023 academic year, India will be empowered with 260 channels. Will be bigger than anyone in the globe for the satellite beaming of our education knowledge. Now, challenge will be how do you produce? All editors are not India today's standard of editor. We have to produce, I have to invite our youngsters, produce quality education material. How it will be economic, commercially viable, that is a challenge. I think technology is the greatest enabler of quality education to all part of students, all part of the country, all poorest of the poor can be benefited. This IT revolution, India has an ambition, and my dear colleague Ashwini Vaishnav is very much focused on one area. By end of the 2022, Prime Minister assigned him a very big task. 5G will be there in the Indian market. Who is going to be very big, fast beneficiary of this 5G? The students, the education community. Because in the fractions of second, we can deliver the quality education material to all part of country. Now we have ambition to create internet network in all the 6 lakhs village in our country. So technology is a biggest game changer, and we are depending on very much focus on this area. India is bound to come out as a robust knowledge-based society in the next few years.
So I was looking at some data put out by the Income Tax Department, which essentially says that annually there are about 3 lakh good jobs which pay about 5 lakh rupees per annum, and 30,000 odd jobs which pay more than 10 lakh rupees per annum, which essentially means that we are producing millions of young college graduates who don't have adequate skilling to be able to land a prestige job and are yet now in the Indian marketplace, which is the biggest challenge for your government and any government over the next 2.5 decades. We saw when, for example, vacancies were put out for jobs in the railways in Bihar, the kind of queues of people that came out when the whole Agniveer scheme was announced, again because of all the apprehensions people had in their minds. We saw massive protests, which ultimately got quelled and stabilized, but it reflected the anxiety. Now, this challenge of skilling, which is part of what you're responsible for, to what extent do you think you've been able to make meaningful headway to ensure that these youth who are graduating out of many colleges and universities are able to get meaningful employment, which keeps them employable and in the market over a 2.5, 3-year decade horizon?
No, this is the area of concern. This is the area of opportunity also. Because let me cite 2 examples. Where India will be scoring and where India is at advantage. Digital economy is a reality in present day, entire world. Today, if you go by the statistics, 40% of global digital transaction, India contributes 40% of digital transaction in the all over the world. This is our advantage area. There is I can cite you example, you might have vaccinated with the booster dose. You have used COVID, with fraction of second you are having your certificate. Who developed that? There is a report in World Economic Forum, by next few years, half of the existing job will be abolished. Half of the equal number of new job will also emerge through internet, through digital economy, through automation. India has the opportunity. Now, how Prime Minister Modi designed our missions. Now, he has given job to all the embassy, all the High Commissioner office in the entire world. Do one thing. Find out the economic opportunity, whether physical or online. Just see, Indian IT sector is contributing to global service industry in a big way. How it has been developed. When I'm talking about a knowledge society, looking into realizing our challenge, realizing our limitation and advantage, we have to map the global job scenario. We have to looking after our free trade agreement with different countries. We have to better our economic interests with the respective country. I'll do business with you if you take my service in this area. This is the approach of our government. We are trading of our employment opportunity, employment reality with the global market. So in India also, we have to design our education system, design our skilling system where whoever will come to India for business, because India is the only vibrant market in globe today, I can very confidently say. Whoever doing business in any trade in the globe, they are eyeing Indian market due to our aspirational society. Those who are interested to come to India, they have to go through this process. One limitation where very government is very responsibly dealing this area. Indian trade and industry in media industry like you also very conscious about your affordability, your profit margin. You don't want to take skill certified person. The moment a skill certified person is going to a industry, the employer is thinking, I have to commit this much of payment per sure. This is a very egg and chicken issue. If you hire quality people, if you hire skilled people, your productivity will increase. If you will not depend on skilled people, you are not doing justice to your productivity, your margin, to society also. Indian industry is gradually onto the discipline. They are also coming to the agreement of this area. We have to hire skilled people. This is a very transitional thing. It has to be seamless. We cannot create fear among the industry people. We cannot create a trade union or a right-centric situation. We have to take confidence to the market. Employing skilled people is industry's benefit. This reality has to be convinced. Now government has reformed itself. First, I'll say one example. Apprenticeship was mandatory with employment previously. We have deregulated that. Apprenticeship is not mandatory for employment. Apprenticeship is in a way skill mechanism, skill training. Industry has to take route of apprenticeship.
Now, one of the opportunities, Minister, is to get the private sector more actively involved in different aspects of Indian education at different levels of education. But there the problem seems to be that the government thinks of education as a public service and therefore wants to impose so many regulatory curbs on what can and cannot be done, that when, say, an international university, for example, or some Indian group would like to diversify their education operations, they're unable to do so because of the regulatory environment. For example, at this moment, we have 6,500 faculty positions vacant in central universities. One of the things China did is that it sent its students to do PhDs, MPhils abroad, brought many of them to come and serve at Chinese universities and paid them top yuan to be able to make it worth their while. We don't seem to have that kind of an approach. You spoke of Sundar Pichai, Indira Nui, all of them unfortunately left. We need to bring them back to skill the next generation and obviously make it worth their while to do so.
Rahulji, for my as a same age group of person, my sincere request to you will be never cite or never compare your country with anybody. You are a vibrant democracy. You can question Prime Minister. Just question Premier of the China. Nobody will see you after that interview. Please appreciate that thing. This is democracy. Number one. Number two, I am confused whether India Today is right or New York Times is right. Laddu cannot be in both the hand. My government is very clear. In this year budget, Honorable Finance Minister announced, please come to Gift City in Ahmedabad. We'll deregulate everything. You can put your university with your own condition. I have traveled in last week in Australia. My one issue with all Australian leadership was that, all Vice Chancellor of Australia, that please come to my country. I am paying 6 billion worth of service fees into Australia only. भारत 30 बिलियन खर्चा करता है बाहर बच्चों को पढ़ाने में. कितने बच्चों को? 10 लाख बच्चों को. मेरे पास हायर एजुकेशन में कितने स्टूडेंट्स हैं? 4 करोड़. I want to open more university, whether it is foreign university, whether it is private university. Those who can afford, they should pay. All will go to Ajit Ranada's institution. It's a very quality institution. He is taking good students from all over the country. I know this year 2 bright poor students from Odisha, they got admitted in his institutions. India will offer all kind of institution, and India's state has responsibility to create level playing field. One section will be protected by government intervention. One section of society, those who can afford to pay from their own pocket, they should pay. So India has, this is the recommendation of NEP. Therefore, we are inviting all the foreign university to our campus, to our country, with Indian regulation, with Indian curriculum. Certain minimum regulation will be there. We are open. We want to de-bottleneck our education system. Nobody's monopoly should be there. But, as you said, vacancy posts. Some other day you invite me, I will tell you the real story. Who bottleneck the thing? Who doesn't want to respect the constitution? Those who are, you are not shouting on me, I am thankful to you, because those who are critical on me, why don't you appoint such person? My prime minister is only for 8 years. This country is completed 75th years of its journey. What thing divide them to appoint constitutionally sanctioned obligations? I am a very open-minded person. My leader is very clear. Our priority is to give quality education to the poorest of the poor. Simultaneously, those who can afford to pay from their pocket, they should be get opportunity in this country to have quality education.
धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी, बड़ी दिलचस्प बात है कि आपने न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स का जिक्र किया, क्योंकि न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में तो हाल में एक आर्टिकल आया जिसमें वो अरविंद केजरीवाल और सिसोदिया के मॉडल ऑफ एजुकेशन की बात कर रहा है. वहां तो बीजेपी या मोदी ऑफ मॉडल ऑफ एजुकेशन की बात नहीं हो रही है, और उसी को दिल्ली के चीफ मिनिस्टर दिखा रहे हैं बार बार प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करते हुए कि ये है दुनिया का बेस्ट एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर मनीष सिसोदिया. आप तो पीछे रह गए.
मैंने इसको एडिट नहीं करोगे तो मैं जितना कहूंगा उतना दिखाओगे तो
100%.
पक्का आज तक में भी दिखाओगे,
सब जगह.
वो ललन टप में भी दिखाओगे,
सब जगह.
मैं कहता हूं एक बात को, मैं बहुत पुराना नहीं जाता हूं, नहीं ये दिखाते हैं. मैं आई एम थैंकफुल टू पुरी साहब, आप दिखाते हैं, हमको कोई सेंसर नहीं करते हैं, हम झगड़ते भी ज्यादा नहीं है, ऊंचा आवाज भी नहीं बोल पाते हैं. उड़िया आदमी आखिर कितना ऊंचा बोल पाएगा. मैं एक बात कहता हूं, अभी एक नेशनल असेसमेंट सर्वे हुई. नेशनल असेसमेंट सर्वे में इस बार अभी आई, ये वेबसाइट में है, आप जाके मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन स्कूल डिपार्टमेंट में जाके उसको देख सकते हो. दिल्ली में 3 प्रकार की स्कूल है. दिल्ली में सरकारी स्कूल है, दिल्ली में सेंट्रल स्कूल, नवोदय विद्यालय से भारत सरकार से चलने वाले स्कूल्स हैं. दिल्ली में प्राइवेट स्कूल्स भी है, बसंत महल भी चल रहा है, मॉडर्न स्कूल भी चल रहा है, डीएवी ग्रुप की स्कूल चल रहा है. तीनों स्कूल ग्रुप की थोड़ा आप 10वीं और 12वीं की रिजल्ट को थोड़ा आप देखिए. रिजल्ट तो सैंपल सर्वे हुई थी, दिल्ली सरकार की अनुमति से हुई थी. पिछले 2 सर्वे की कंपैरिजन आप करोगे, 10th और 12th में दोनों में दिल्ली की सरकारी स्कूलों की परफॉर्मेंस सब्सटेंशियली घट रहा है. इसको काटना ना, इसको दिखाना. ये मेरा विनम्रता से मेरे मित्र अरविंद केजरीवाल साहब और सिसोदिया साहब को चुनौती.
मित्र हैं आपके वो?
मैं तो सिविलाइज आदमी हूं, मैं तो मित्र ही कहूंगा. मैं तो वसुधैव कुटुंबकम कहने वाला आदमी हूं, वो तो मित्र ही होंगे ना. अगर उनको एक्साइज पॉलिसी की चोरी को पकड़ने में वो गाली देंगे, न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स दिखा के बचना चाहेंगे, वो जनता तय करेगी. दिल्ली की शिक्षा व्यवस्था खोखला है, नौटंकीबाज है. दूसरी ओर ये गरीबी को शोकेस करके संपन्नता को गाली देने वाला एक उन्होंने फॉर्मूला बनाई है. क्या भारत की राष्ट्रपति जी की पोती, अभी द्रौपदी जी की पोती जाएगी पढ़ने में थोड़े दिनों में, क्या उनकी फी स्ट्रक्चर और आपकी घर में काम करने वाले काम वाले बाई की बेटी की फी स्ट्रक्चर एक होना चाहिए क्या? अगर वो ज्यादा पे कर सकते तो करे अपने पॉकेट से पे, जो नहीं करना चाहिए उसको सरकारी चिंता करे. लेकिन आप एक एंटरप्रेन्योरियल कैपेसिटी को ब्लॉक करते हुए, प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट को एजुकेशन में ब्लॉक करते हुए, देखो, हमने गरीबों के बारे में चिंता किया, कोई आपत्ति नहीं, आपकी दायित्व है, वोट आपको इसीलिए मिला है, टैक्स लोग इसीलिए देते हैं। लेकिन अगर आप आखिर सिसोदिया जी को सीपीडब्ल्यूडी में गड़बड़ी हो रहा है, अपने सरकार में पीडब्ल्यूडी में पीडब्ल्यूडी में गड़बड़ी हो रहा है, उनको चिट्ठी क्यों लिखना पड़ा? सरकार तो उन्हीं की है। अगर घर को आप स्कूल मानते हैं, व्हाइट वॉशिंग को आप एजुकेशन मानते हैं, तो मेरे पास कोई
वो कह रहे हैं कि हमने सरकारी स्कूलों की स्थिति को बेहतर किया, और आप अंबानी अडानी के दोस्त हैं, आप अपने मित्रों के लिए कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स को कम करते हैं, और चूंकि हम गरीबों को अच्छी एजुकेशन दे रहे हैं, इसीलिए आपने सीबीआई ईडी हमारे पे लगा दी। तो ये पूरा फ्रीबीज वर्सेस
अच्छा, मेरे साथ हिंदी में थोड़ा आपको समझा नहीं पाया। ओडिया आदमी हिंदी बोलेगा तो थोड़ा बहुत तो रह ही जाएगा। 10वीं और 12वीं में दिल्ली की सरकारी स्कूल की क्वालिटी परफॉर्मेंस क्यों घटी, उसकी उत्तर दे। क्या जो आपकी इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप की ट्रस्ट से चलने वाला बसंत वैली स्कूल अंबानी जी के पैसा से चल रहा है क्या? अभी तो पुरी साहब कह रहे थे कि धर्मेंद्र, मैं कितना दिन मेरे चैरिटी को चलाऊंगा, थोड़ा फीस स्ट्रक्चर सिंप्लीफाई होनी चाहिए। वो आपको क्यों गाली नहीं देते हैं? क्या पुरी साहब एक्सप्लॉइटेटर है क्या? एक्सप्लॉइटर है क्या? वो अपने चैरिटी से चलाते, अपने जिम्मेवारी लेते, समाज की चिंता कर रहे हैं, और जो पैसा देने वाले लोगों को देना चाहिए। देखो, ये ढोकोसलापन एक प्रोवर्ब है, यू कैन फूल ऑल द पीपुल फॉर सम टाइम, सम पीपुल फॉर ऑल द टाइम, बट यू कैनॉट मेक फूल ऑल द पीपुल फॉर ऑल द टाइम। ये स्थिति होने वाला है।
एक आखिरी सवाल है मेरा। When we talk about the vision going forward, the BJP politically has spread its wings across the northeast, towards the east, also in the heartland, heading towards the south. एक वो स्टेट रह गया उड़ीसा का। अभी वो आया इंडिया टुडे मूड द नेशन पिछले 2 हफ्ते पहले, उसमें नवीन पटनायक was the number 1 popular chief minister amongst residents in his own state, as his principal adversary in the state and the prime challenger. Why do you think he gets ranked as the number 1 chief minister amongst his people in his state? And as you talk about the vision for the next 2.5 decades, hopefully sooner from your perspective, are you hoping also as part of that vision to unseat him and become chief minister in Bhubaneswar?
एक तो देखो, मैं आपको बड़ा विनम्रता से कहूं कि मैं आपकी इससे सहमत नहीं हूं। मैं उनके एडवर्सरी नहीं हूं, वो राजा है, मैं रंक हूं। वो गोल्डन स्पून से जन्म होके बीजू बाबू की बेटा है, मैं एक सामान्य घर की व्यक्ति हूँ, और राजनीति में कोई एडवर्सरी नहीं होता है। कंवल जी, राहुल जी तो प्रतियोगी होते हैं, स्पर्धा होता है, ये डेमोक्रेसी है। मेरे पार्टी उड़ीसा में 3 नंबर की पार्टी 2014 में भी थी। 2019 में हमने कांग्रेस को छोड़ के उनसे सिर्फ 4% पीछे रहे, 4% पीछे रहे, और हम 8 लोकसभा जीते और 12 लोकसभा जीते, कांग्रेस 1 जीता। हम विधानसभा में थोड़ा हमारी गैप बढ़ा रहा। और बाकी मैं सच कहूं तो फिर इसको अनएडिटेड आप देखा ना, मैं अभी इंडिया टुडे की पोर्टल में, अन्य किसी के नाम की कह रहा हूं, इंडिया टुडे की पोर्टल में मैंने अभी एक स्टोरी पढ़ा कि उड़ीसा में अभी भी सो कल्ड 21-22 साल की परफॉर्मेंस के बाद, जिनको आपने कंटिन्यूसली भुवनेश्वर में जाके बेस्ट राज्य करके अवार्ड दे के आते हो, वहां बेसिक हेल्थ एम्यूनिटीज नहीं है। इंडिया टुडे में छपा है, तो बेस्ट अवार्ड वाला सही है या पोर्टल वाला सही है? मैं कंफ्यूज।
वही तो मैं भी नहीं समझ पा रहा हूं, क्योंकि वो
तो चलिए मिलकर समझेंगे।
इलेक्शन रिजल्ट वो आता है,
तो मैं आज उस विषय पे जाना नहीं चाहता।
अच्छा, गुड।
क्योंकि आज आपने शिक्षा, स्किल, 21st सेंचुरी, अमृत काल,
what's very clear is that the minister tracks what India Today and Business Today do very carefully.
I
and
do.
He reads a lot of our articles, and we
Since
deeply
my college
appreciate
days, Rahul ji, when I passed class 10th, my father asked me, "You are not good in English. You read Sunday and India Today." In those illustrated weekly also, and Statesman. They're the 4 English magazine my father advised me to read. From that day, I am a great reader of India Today. ऐसा कोई सप्ताह नहीं है जिसमें वो इंडिया टुडे को मैं नहीं देखा।
Can we have a round of applause for that, please? Thank you so much. That is the most wonderful thing you could have said. It's made our morning, and we deeply appreciate the fact that you're such an engaged reader. आपने थोड़े से बॉल को स्विंग भी किया यहाँ वहाँ इस पिच पे, but that's fine. We wish you all the best. You also laid out a positive vision for the next 2.5 decades. So hopefully we'll be able to move on that vision and we'll see more students staying here in high quality Indian institutes to make their future in our country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan. Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you, sir.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.